Hello YouTubers, this is Gold Standards User 924 coming at you with another video. So I just got done watching Monday Night Raw, the post Wrestlemania edition. Now before I get to that, I didn't really get a chance to watch WrestleMania 31. I, like many people, believe that the show might not deliver or live up to its expectations. But I've been following it through the people on Twitter and on the certain message forums related to professional wrestling, and from the reception that WrestleMania 31 got, it seemed to be very well received. A lot of people were just in shock and awe of just what had transpired during the pay-per-view. So you would think I'd be kind of regretful of not ordering the pay-per-view in any shape or watching it on the WWE Network and stuff. But overall, I'm pretty happy with what I got. With tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw, I wouldn't necessarily say it was as good as last year's. When Daniel Bryan coming out to one of the biggest crowd pops in New Orleans and even a standing ovation. Stuff like when Cesaro was cutting a promo regarding his Andre the Giant trophy ceremony. Everyone was singing his theme, the Real Americans theme song, or just humming that theme song, and then the Shield, coming out to that big pop when they were saving Daniel Bryan towards the end. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed this Monday Night Raw. Just some very interesting things that have happened during the course of those 3 hours. So this is going to contain some spoiler alerts. So for those that never got a chance to watch it, either maybe pause the video now, or record it through a DVR, or find some other outlet out there. But it's going to contain spoilers, like I said. So, but if you're very content with what some of the stuff that have happened tonight, so feel free to watch this video. Yeah, so it just basically opens up with a little segment, opening segment with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman just cutting a pretty solid promo, just about what happened last night and how Brock Lesnar got screwed over the WWE title, and basically the fact that he never truly got pinned or submitted. So yeah, so Seth Rollins, he cashed in his Money in the Bank and subsequently won the World Heavyweight title. Yeah, so Heyman just issuing a rematch clause for Brock Lesnar to face Seth Rollins, not on pay-per-view, but for later that night. So yeah, so Stephanie McMahon comes out, addresses the issue, and basically agrees to it eventually. Yeah, so they get the match announced later that night. Let's see. So yeah, so basically Lesnar and Rollins, they end up making their entrances during the second hour of Raw, and pretty much like last year, where they sort of teased Bryan and Triple H for the World Heavyweight title, and then it kind of led to this booby trap that the match did not take place. It's pretty much like what they did with Lesnar and Rollins just now, and basically Rollins just decides to chicken out. He escapes through the crowd. J&J security hold back Brock Lesnar, and then basically Lesnar just goes on this really huge tirade. Basically knocking out the announce table and taking Booker T and JBL out. And he even went as far as doing the F5 on Michael Cole, and then basically gets stretchered out. So yeah, so he was just wrecking all havoc. He went as far as also taking out the cameraman out of all people, and then Stephanie McMahon came out, or somewhere around that time, and just announced that Lesnar is suspended indefinitely. So Lesnar just kind of reminding me of what Ken Shamrock would do in his during his WWE days. Anytime something happens and it doesn't go along in his way. You know, Shamrock would just not only snap, but he would just go on this tirade, sort of like what Lesnar went through tonight, and just basically like pretty much annihilate everyone in his way, including some of the, you know, the commentators, the staff members. My only nitpick was, you know, the fact that that even during this time, you know, you didn't see like referees coming out or security trying to kind of prevent Lesnar from making any, you know, doing anything over the top or doing anything, you know, very violent. Now you can, you know, also argue the fact that, you know, even despite that, you know, Lesnar would just also annihilate them as well. So yeah, so Stephanie McMahon announced Lesnar that he's suspended, and looks like from that analysis we won't be seeing Lesnar for the next several months, at least not until SummerSlam time. So definitely interesting. You know, knocking out the main commentary booth, and you know, I mean, Booker T and JBL, I would think they would have recovered after a couple minutes or so, but it turns out, you know, they kind of sold the whole point that it was really try to really sell that Brock Lesnar is really a beast, you know, and that, you know, he really means business. So after that, now actually the first match I want to also talk about, the first match on Raw was the Intercontinental title defense with Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. You know, just a very enjoyable match. Crowd was into it. You know, 50-50 between those two wrestlers. You know, you saw a lot of chain wrestling here and there. A lot of back and forth striking. I really laughed at the part where they were just doing the whole headbutts back and forth. That was pretty hilarious. But at the same time, they did sort of make it work. I was really concerned about Daniel Bryan's condition, because he went over he put Dolph Ziggler up the top rope and then successfully nailed the back suplex, and it almost looked like for a moment that Bryan nearly snapped his neck, and you could see him holding it, and I was really concerned about that part, you know, because he just came back from his neck surgery, so that was a pretty scary part. But nevertheless, you know, Bryan, you know, managed to fight on and, you know, basically beat Dolph Ziggler to retain the IC title. Yeah, just a very great match. You know, and especially, you know, we get to like the post match where Bad News Barrett was on commentary, and then basically after the match, he slid in the ring, ambushed Daniel Bryan, and then Sheamus makes his unannounced return, you know, with, you know, sporting that new mohawk that he came out of. So it looked like he was going to help Bryan and Ziggler, but then Sheamus ended up bro kicking Bryan out of nowhere. So yeah, so Sheamus actually turned heel tonight, and I think a lot of people were sort of anticipating on that, you know, since, you know, they were kind of hyping up Sheamus's return, and you know, a lot of people thought that Bryan was going to fight Sheamus at WrestleMania, but it didn't happen. So so they actually went forth with this heel turn, and then again, I also sort of saw it a mile away because Sheamus, you know, came out with that new look. So it kind of gave me that sort of gut instinct there, but you know, as opposed to that, you know, spiked up haircut that would come out. Yeah, so my guess is that there probably might be a fatal four-way match at Extreme Rules. So that should be pretty interesting, you know, given the fact that now that they're going to tease a tag team match for Thursday Night SmackDown. So, you know, Bryan Ziggler taking on Barrett and Sheamus. So, yeah, that's definitely something to look forward to there. And then trying to remember what's happening since I'm kind of doing this video on the fly. What other significant events? So the debut of the NXT superstars. You know, Adrian Neville making his debut, taking on Curtis Axel. You know, just really cool. You know, really cool to see him on the main roster. I'm very interested to see how he does well in WWE, because when it comes to like NXT talent coming over to the main roster, a lot of it, the times it just has this sort of trend of a certain NXT star where he or she's kind of like out of place, or WWE's kind of underutilizing them, or they're taking away the uniqueness and the trait that made them so unique in the developmental NXT territory. When Paige came in last year, she came out to this big pop, but then after she won the Divas title, I mean, they weren't, WWE didn't seem to have an idea of where they wanted to go with that character, and now fast forward a year later, I mean, Paige has kind of recovered from that phase, because when she first debuted, they didn't know what to do with her. And the same could be applied with the Ascension. Just they came in and constantly getting buried on commentary and just getting their asses whipped by the legends. But so far, I mean, things are going pretty good for Adrian Neville for tonight. He got a victory. And then you also had the debut of the Lucha Dragons, who were involved in an 8-man tag team match. So you had like Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, and the Ascension, teaming together with the New Day, and obviously the Lucha Dragons on the opposing side. So really great stuff. It was really great to see Kalisto on the roster again, or not again, but his official debut. I don't know what I'm saying. But so it's a really good performance from everyone else. New Day obviously getting the negative reaction. Kind of surprised that Kofi Kingston actually embraced the New Day chant despite the negative reaction they got. So everyone was chanting "New Day sucks," and Kofi was chanting along with it. So so that was some reaction there. Embracing that. So basically, the match was still pretty, very good, and New Day and Lucha Dragons won that match. So very enjoyable 8-man tag match. Let's see, John Cena issuing his United States title match against an open challenge, which turned out to be Dean Ambrose. Very close match. John Cena doing constant attitude adjustments, but Dean Ambrose ended up countering them. Dean Ambrose ended up stealing Cena's STF finishing move. So it was pretty close, a very hot fought battle, and after all that, John Cena ended up winning with the attitude adjustment. So I thought going into this match that Dean Ambrose might signal for a heel turn, sort of like what Sheamus did earlier that night. So I thought going into that would have happened, but or maybe that's kind of like laying the groundwork, given Ambrose's frustration in the post-match celebration. So like I said, Cena ended up retaining the title, but it's really a shame for Ambrose, because a lot of people thought, going into this year that he was going to, just go all out and basically put balls to the walls, winning undercard titles along the way. I don't know. I mean, he was like feuding with like Seth Rollins this past fall, and it looked like there was a sign of things to come for him. I mean, he even like headlined 2 pay-per-view events. So, which was kind of a pretty big privilege there. It's a really big privilege. And, to see Ambrose going on this sort of losing streak, and, just losing a lot of momentum ever since the beginning of this year. So things aren't looking hot for Ambrose. And I'm really hoping that at some point they do something with this character that'll really just start kicking back his momentum. I mean, he's still pretty over with the crowd, but, I mean, there's just so much potential with Dean Ambrose. So I really hope that WWE finds a way to get Ambrose and try to elevate him and stuff. So I was a little disappointed that Ambrose didn't win, but I mean, it's John Cena. He won the U.S. title last night, and basically wins a lot. So it's what you expect there. I can't remember anything else. The main event for the six-man tag, it's a pretty much your standard televised multi-man match. I think what made it was obviously the crowd. Everyone's like waving their hands up. Just Seth Rollins communicating with the crowd, but Rollins just doing his best to play the best heel he could possibly play as. So Randy Orton, Ryback, and Roman Reigns ended up winning in that six-man match, where Rollins teamed with Big Show and Kane, and Roman Reigns ended up, getting the victory for his team. So, so that's pretty much how Raw ended, and kind of unfortunate I didn't get to watch WrestleMania. So hopefully, maybe I get get an opportunity to watch it. So, like I said, it was still a pretty solid Raw, pretty enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's as good as last year's, but still, it's WrestleMania post WrestleMania season. So, so hopefully WWE keeps up with this momentum. Although I don't want to get my hopes up because once the WrestleMania season or that aura starts fizzling out and we head into the summer, it might be back to business as usual. So back to shitty fest. But hopefully, even despite that, hopefully WWE does the best they can to deliver some pretty top-notch quality shows. But I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. Basically, what I'm saying. So so that's really my thoughts on Monday Night Raw. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What would you have done differently? Or stuff like that. I think this is going to be the last wrestling related video I'll be doing for a while. So that's anything can change from here on out. But I know I've been kind of like in a wrestling mood, because it's when it comes to WrestleMania season, a lot of I just start channeling my inner wrestling fan in me. So so now that WrestleMania season is slowly starting to fizzle out, so expect some non-wrestling related videos down the road. But so let me know what you think down in the comment section. And until next time, this is Gold Standard Caesar 924 signing out.